Choking him. What's up, guys? Simone Fan 101 here, and here I am with my WCPW Lights Out review. I just recorded and took a tiny little break, just to rest up from recording my Slammiversary show, and rewatch some highlights of the Lights Out show just to remind myself of some things. This show, huge improvement over Kirby Mania. I mean, huge improvement. The booking, the crowd, the audio, yeah, everything was improved. I mean, there are still some audio spots, or audio mistakes, or whatever, but for the most part, everything here was improved from the previous show. For example, there were no, other than maybe one match, there was no matches that were really bad except for one, and that I have to give it a pass for. Let's just get into this, shall we? This might be a quicker review than usual. Maybe not. I don't know. It just depends how I get through it. Johnny, because as of recording this, Raw starts at about an hour and 20 minutes from now, so I don't want to take an hour because I want to be able to record this and upload it all within less than an hour, or at least up to an hour. So, like, say at most a 30-minute recording, but I'll do my best. The show started off with Johnny Moss and Liam Slater defending the WCPW Tag Team Championships against Prospect, Alex Gracie and Lucas Archer. As you may know, I actually don't think I mentioned this in my Delete WCPW review when I said that when they had the match with the Coffey brothers. Well, it was actually in the finals of a WCPW Tag Team Championship tournament, and they defended their titles here on this show. This show was vastly improved over the previous show, which was Kirby Mania. As I said, the opening match was actually a nice, solid little match, about 10 minutes long or so. Actually, no, less than 10 minutes long. But what I liked about it is that for once, Alex Gracie and Lucas Archer were playing it serious. Why? Well, there was okay, so we all know that going into this year's WrestleMania was going to take place in Orlando, in Florida. The story is that they wanted a way to, they wanted to go to Orlando, and their manager at the time, James R. Kennedy, was like, look, you got to go to Orlando. Your only shot is to win these tag team belts. So that the story here was that Archer and Gracie had to win the belt so that way they could have a spot and go to Orlando and just shoot the shit and have a great time. That was the story. And well, if you look at the results and you've seen the show, they lost the championship. They lost the champion. Sorry about that. They lost the championship match, I should say. With Johnny Moss. They did do serious, because even though they were kind of just comedy fodder, this was the first match they actually went out of the comedy league and just took it seriously. This was actually a serious match. It was short, so we can only get just a good match. A solid match, but it was a short match. But it was a good match. What am I saying? But Johnny Moss, not really a lot in terms of, like, say, big spots. The finish came when Johnny Moss had I believe it was Alex Gracie in the powerbomb position, and then Liam Slater went up and did a moonsault while Archer was in the powerbomb spot. That was that ended the match. It was a nice little match. Then James R. Kennedy went to the ring, and he basically, you know, talked down to Gracie and Archer. This was beginning, and if you've seen shows since then, this is the beginning of the end between the partnership between Prospect and James R. Kennedy. Up next, we had a triple threat women's match between Bea Priestley, Ivelisse, and Tessa Blanchard, who of course is the son, who of course is the daughter of Tully Blanchard. Member of the Four Horsemen, tag team partners with Arn Anderson, and member of the Brain Busters in WWE. And, you know, believe it or not, and out of the three wrestlers, I gotta say, the one that stood out the most to me was Tessa Blanchard. Not that Ivelisse didn't do good or Bea Priestley didn't play her role, but she did a good job, and she was a standout. And of course they were trying to play up the fact that Bea Priestley has the WCPW Women's title belt. And they kept on saying, it was a second match in the show, I fucking hated Alex Shane, because he kept on saying over and over and over again that Bea Priestley was the WCPW Women's Champion, even though everyone and their mother knew they were not. Even to the point where Dave Bradshaw, his own colleague, is like, you know what, I give up. This shit is just too... It annoys me too much. He's like, oh, so, I give up. Oh, so you admit that she's a champion? No. Alex Shane is a fucking idiot, and I get it. He's supposed to be playing a heel announcer, but I fucking hate Alex Shane. Get him off commentary. If he's already off commentary, I'll be happy. But I'm like, during this show, I'm like, Dave Bradshaw, just punch Alex Shane off the commentary booth so we no longer have to deal with him. This match, it was an okay match, but I can't give it that high of a rating because this match was only 4 minutes long, and this match got dicked for time. Although, I gotta admit, in the 4 minutes that they got here, it was actually a decent match. It just was completely dicked for time. Bea Priestley. First it was Bea Priestley, and now it's Bea Priestley. What the hell's wrong with me? Bea Priestley, she hit her finish, I believe, on Tessa Blanchard. She got it for the. It wasn't even a finish. It was just a regular DDT, a sick-looking DDT, I gotta say. She landed more on the back of her head. Tessa Blanchard did. I know, and I get what they were trying to set up, and I'll explain this on a later show. They were trying to set up a Bea Priestley versus Ivelisse title match, or just a singles match between the two. Didn't happen, but I'll explain why later in another review. Bea Priestley won. She didn't, but that wasn't the end. Basically what happened is, after the match was over, I don't know where the hell Ivelisse was, but Tessa Blanchard was in the ring all by herself. Out next came well, the whole time they were with Bea Priestley, Scott Wainwright and Paul Robinson were with her. They all went into the ring. Tessa Blanchard stood up, and after basically them surrounding her, threatening to beat her up, she got pushed around by Bea Priestley. She knocked her down. Then she went on the attack against Paul Robinson and Scott Wainwright. Wainwright then punched her in the face. And then out came Ricochet to make the save, and the Swords of Essex ran away like a bunch of pussies. Even though it was only one guy. So, yeah. So, there was that. Next came the best match of the night. Travis Banks and Zack Sabre Jr. This match was awesome. Great. I can't name that many spots. It was just really great technical wrestling. That was a lot of fun to watch. A lot of submission holds, a lot of headlocks, short headlocks though. Not too many like spots like dives, because remember, these are two guys that are not known for doing dives. These guys did chop the shit out of each other though. Zack Sabre Jr. should have seen his chest if you haven't seen the match. If you look at Zack Sabre Jr.'s chest, it was like beat red. I mean, like, you could see a little bit of red on Travis Banks, but Zack Sabre Jr.'s chest was like so red that I'm like, oh my god, how sunburned is this guy? Where did he go? Did he go to Egypt? I was like thinking like, what kind of, like, what, like, this guy was like seriously sunburned. That's what I swore it was. I swore he was sunburned. Now, with now aside from that, you know, they went for more. Although there was a delayed brain buster, I gotta say, which I believe, Sabre hit the brain buster, and I'm not sure Sabre's usually the kind of guy that usually hits a brain buster. Although maybe that could be just me, and I haven't seen enough Zack Sabre Jr. matches. But he hit a brain buster for, I believe, a near fall. Didn't work. Countered back and forth, sunset flips and kicks and shit. There was a knee strike, which did look a little bit, you know, bad. And by knee strike, I mean Banks hit Zack Sabre Jr. with a knee strike and then hit a tope. Travis Banks, he's the kind of guy who more often than not will probably do a tope or a dive. Zack Sabre Jr. is not known at all for doing dives, not at all. You know, a couple German. Now what happened was this was the end of the match. The end of the match basically was more forearms, more vicious chops and slaps and shit. And what happened was Travis Banks, not to be confused with Sasha Banks. No, Sasha Banks did not wrestle Zack Sabre Jr. on an indie show. That never happened. Travis Banks landed a roundhouse kick right to Zack Sabre Jr.'s head, and then hit a German suplex, and after that hit the springboard roundhouse. And he tried to do this a couple times during the match. What's a springboard roundhouse? Well, you know, like Cody Rhodes' disaster kick, or the kick that Loki does, the springboard kick. Well, he calls this. Well, Travis Banks uses the similar move, the springboard roundhouse kick, although he usually does it from a turnbuckle instead of just any side of the ropes. He hits the move and got the pinfall. Now I'm not exactly sure if this was supposed to be the finish, because what happened was, as soon, I think Zack Sabre Jr. Kicked out too late, because what happened was, after the pinfall, after Travis Banks scored the 3, Sabre immediately went to go for an armbar, but by that point it was too late. The ring announcer already said that Travis Banks was the winner, and Doug Williams came out at ringside and, you know, applauded Travis Banks, leading into the story that, you know, Doug Williams was trying to recruit Travis Banks to be, like, I guess, the next Doug Williams, which he already is when you think about it. Next up, a triple threat match between Marty, Scurll, Gabriel Kidd, and Ligero. If the previous match never happened on this show, then this would have been the best match. This was a really, really good triple threat match between Ligero, Marty Scurll, and Gabriel Kidd. And at this point, the best match that Gabriel Kidd has had so far in WCPW. At this point, I don't know. I haven't seen too many of his other matches afterward, because keep in mind, I stopped watching around WrestleMania season. Probably right after this Exit Wounds show. So after Exit Wounds, I am gonna really have to rewatch each show from scratch. Yeah, these guys they put on a good match, and considering the fact that Marty Scurll was in there and Ligero was in there, and you had a Gabriel kid who can hold his own in a wrestling ring at his young age, considering he could hold his own, you were expecting at least a pretty good match. We got a really good match out of it. Preface the pretty good and really good. Now with the match itself, there were not too many high spots. Keep in mind, this is not an X Division match. There was a lot of stalling in the beginning, though. When Marty Scurll, he took a sweet-ass time outside the ring. He's like, yeah, you know what? Screw you guys. I'm not going to wrestle you. That was classic Marty Scurll. And this was also an elimination match. I almost forgot to mention, this was an elimination match. Gabriel Kidd tried to roll up Ligero while Scurll was outside being a dick. Didn't work. Then they did their young spiel. It was pretty good. The real one of the good things was a few minutes into the match. What happened was, well, first of all, Ligero did set up he was about to go for a dive. And then it was I don't know what happened right there. He went for a dive, and then for some reason the camera went blurry. And this is one of the production problems with WCPW at times. Then he teased the dive for Kidd, only to Scurll for come back in the ring and pretty much super kicked those two, and then all that shit. Yeah, he beat the shit out of a Gabriel Kidd for by chopping him in the corner. And for a second there, I was like, what the hell is going on? Not that I didn't enjoy it, but it's I think something was botched or something, or the production just fucked up. I don't know. Maybe it's just me and I'm being a dick. There was a moment when Ligero was in the aisleway. Gabriel Kidd did throw a trip Scurll into the ring apron, but then they were battling up, and then they battled up the aisle. Ligero was already in the aisle, and then he basically went for a somersault dive off the stage, which was pretty cool. Ligero went for the actually he threw Marty Scurll in the ring. They went at it for a minute or two. But then after when Marty Scurll was going for the just kidding super kick, the one where he pretends to kick the guy in the face and then kicks him in the shin. Ligero got a sliced bread for the near fall, and a Kidd came in, Death Valley Driver or an attitude adjustment or whatever the hell they want to call it, because those moves, the way they do it now in the indies, just look so freaking similar to me. Scurll came back in. Now remember, it was between Kidd and Ligero. This is what happened. Scurll took an ace crusher from Ligero, and then he gave after missing a moonsault, that is, from Kidd. Kidd got the Finley roll, which is the people call it the Finley roll because Finley was famous for doing that. Sheamus does the move too. I honestly forget what he calls it. I'm gonna call it the Finley roll because that sounds funny. Then he went for a moonsault, a la almost like Kenny Omega does. He missed. Ligero got the C4L, but Scurll, before Ligero could pin Kidd, Scurll got the chicken wing on Ligero, and he had to tap out. So now it's down to Marty Scurll and Gabriel Kidd for the last 3 or 4 minutes of the match. And I gotta admit, there were a couple of near falls that were actually pretty good for Gabriel Kidd. You know, super kicks galore. And he funny enough, Gabriel Kidd, he hit a just kidding super kick of his own, which was a page right out of Marty Scurll's playbook, which was kind of fun. Scurll countered back with more super kicks and even went for a friggin' brain buster. Then he went for and then here's the ending of the match. The ending of the match was when he signaled he was going for the chicken wing. But Kidd countered. Sorry about that. Kidd countered, rolled up the chicken wing into a pinfall attempt. Then Scurll got the referee distracted by, I think Gabriel Kidd was going for a move. Scurll hit behind the referee, then I think he pushed him aside, and then kicked Kidd right in the balls, and then got the chicken wing, and Kidd had to tap out. So, you know, I gotta admit, Gabriel Kidd looked strong here in defeat. This was a pretty good match. Afterward, Marty Scurll, he called out Cody Rhodes because I guess he wants the Internet Championship. He was mad that his name was not on the list. You remember that list that Cody Rhodes made after he left WWE? And he's like, he's the list of all the things he wants to do and who he wants to wrestle and where he wants to go, where he wants to compete at. He had that list. He was mad that he was not on that list. Or whatever. And then he tells Cody that he took away the thing from the top of his list. I guess what he meant the Battle of Los Angeles, since Scurll happened to eliminate Cody during the Battle of Los Angeles, and he'll do it again by taking his Internet Championship. Basically, that's what it was. Not going through all the segments. There was this match, though. This match was not as good as the previous 2 matches, but it was entertaining. In fact, I just reviewed the Slammiversary 2017, and I talked about a similar match. It was Jeremy Borash and Joseph Park against Scott Steiner and Josh Matthews. This was a similar style match when it was, at least, this was entirely out of the ring. But this match was out of the ring. It was called the Boiler Room Brawl. But it was the third of the best of 7 series matches. But it was not a Boiler Room Brawl. They didn't battle in a boiler room. Instead, they battled at the woke culture office, which made it actually kind of hilarious. Scurll, Scurll. No, wait. I'm talking about Scurll. I'm an idiot. Primate and Rampage. What the hell am I talking about? Oh man. I must have been drinking way too much Powerade. Maybe I'm just tired. I don't know. I have been watching a lot of wrestling these past few days, so maybe that's just it. Maybe I got fatigue. I don't want fatigue, but maybe I got it. That and I gotta watch Raw soon, so there's that shit. I really hope that show doesn't fucking suck. Anyway, continuing on from my tangent. Primate and Rampage. It was a pre-taped. And this was actually a fun match. It wasn't too many spots so much, but it wasn't about spots. It was just 2 guys beating the shit out of each other, and they used several objects. In fact, Rampage at one point used like coffee or a drink or something. Primate poured milk all over Rampage's face. I had visions of Sonny pouring milk on Missy Hyatt in that Vixen's video. Yes, I did watch that. Primate, they battled outside in the beginning and a little bit in the dark, which did get on my nerves a little bit because I had to actually try to see in an area where there should be decent lighting. They battled in the office. they threw food. Rampage threw, I guess he took a banana and then shoved it all over Primate's face. I guess because his name is Primate, he must love bananas. I don't know. He then, at one point, Primate threw Rampage into an office, into a room where the What Culture wrestling magazines were. And he even threw a magazine at him at one point. For a second, I actually wanted Primate to just shove the copy of the magazine in the camera's face and then rip it up. That would have been a true heel move. But it didn't work. But it was basically just them beating the shit out of each other in an area that would have it would have been funny. It actually was funny, actually. Because it was at the What Culture office, I enjoyed it. Because they used some things that were at the What Culture office. Like, for example, they used a briefcase for to get a near fall. Yet, they had a fake Money in the Bank case. And yet, they didn't use the Money in the Bank briefcase. I guess they couldn't, because they totally get friggin' sued by WWE if they did that. Even if it is a YouTube show. It's still a TV show. They battled at a pool cue, a pool table with a pool stick and everything. He used a pool stick to choke Rampage at one point. This is the spot where Rampage got milk poured all over him. Thank God Alex Shane didn't use like a freaking lactose intolerance joke, or else I would have actually had to go to this guy's house and beat the shit out of him myself with like a steel chair. Classic, Stone Cold Steve Austin style, just bash his head in. Let's see here. Even at one point, the t-shirts are weapons. I think one of the t-shirts... It was a box of t-shirts actually got thrown onto Rampage, which was funny. Or it got dumped on him or whatever. He at one point did use something to choke him, I believe. Maybe, no, I'm thinking of the main event. What am I talking about? I'll get to that in a second. They eventually went to the parking garage, where Primate escaped through a, Oh, I have to mention this. I love this moment. Primate comes across a cardboard cutout of Eva Marie. And Primate found it, he touched it, and then he ripped it apart. Primate is now a favorite of mine, just for that. Just for ripping apart an Eva Marie cutout. Even he knows that he ain't gonna touch that shit because he knows that sucks. Primate escaped through the elevator. Rampage went down the stairs. He found a wrench or a crowbar or something. It was like one of those like orange wrenches, the big orange ones. Primate. They battled there in the parking garage. Even Rampage hit this guy in the stomach with the wrench. Primate speared Rampage into a meshed fence. He used a chain to choke out Rampage, and because he knocked, this was the choking spot. Because he knocked out Rampage, he technically got a win. But so this wasn't shot like a Final Deletion match, but it had a similar feel because of just where they were. It was funny. Next match was not funny whatsoever. It was a singles match between Doug Williams and Joseph Coffey. Did I just say Joseph Coffey? Oh man. Doug Williams and Joe Coffey, not Joseph Coffey, Joe Coffey. This was actually a pretty good match. I'd say a little bit less, not as good as the Travis Banks Joe Coffey match, but still good. They had some technical wrestling in there. Not again for this match, not too many in the way of spots, just the normal spots that you normally would see Williams and Coffey do. The crossbody off the top rope from Coffey. the elbow from the middle rope from Doug Williams onto Joe Coffey. But it was pretty good. There was several suplexes, missile drop kicks, and all that. By the way, I would not like to take a missile drop kick from Joe Coffey. It looks like he's like a freaking freight train. I would not like that. There were several times when Doug Williams tried to go for Chaos Theory, but it didn't do so good. Coffey tried Boston Crab at one point, but didn't work well. He went up for and Doug. This is when Doug went up for the diving uppercut. I gotta admit, he at 44 years old, Doug Williams is still pretty good. I wonder if he does DDP yoga, because if he doesn't, he should, so he can get back to being even more better than previous. Went for another Chaos Theory. Coffey fought out of it. He went for a Black Coffee. He missed, and then he rebounded off the ropes and connected with the Black Coffee lariat, and that was enough. So this was I know I didn't discuss many of the spots, but it was just a basic little good match between Joe Coffey, and it wasn't not a spot fest. You know, like I didn't go in too much in the way of detail for Zack Sabre Jr. Travis Spanks, because that was a real technical wrestling style match. This one, while not as technical wrestling, there still was a little bit in there. And it wasn't a spot fest. It was just the normal moves that they do, especially since that they didn't get that much time. They only got like 9 minutes of time out of this. So it couldn't be any better than it was, even though it was still a pretty good match. Next was the Swords of Essex, Paul Robinson and Scott Wainwright against Joe Hendry and Martin Kirby. This was an okay match. This was definitely a hell of a lot better than the match at Kirby Mania that included Drew Galloway and Bully Ray and the tag team champions. My God, that match sucked. Thankfully, this was better. And I believe this is going to be one of the last WCPW shows that I have to talk about. Actually, it's the last WCPW show that I'm going to have to talk about Paul Robinson. I just checked. So that is good. I will no longer have to talk about a guy who I don't give two shits about, who is basically a version of Enzo, just not as good as Enzo, which is really sad. This was still a good match. It was a nice, solid little match. Again, not too much in the way of spots, even though the match went on for match went on for 7 minutes. No wonder why. This was not the semi-main event. I'm thinking of the next match. This match only went on for 7 minutes, so I can't really call it anything other than what happened. What happened is basically Kirby wanted to go for a Zoidberg elbow. Wainwright came into the ring, got it with a Spanish fly from the middle rope, which was weird, which was really weird to see, because Scott Wainwright, he's not a cruiserweight style guy. He's a big dude. He's not like Johnny Moss big, but he's a good-sized guy. And I did not expect him to do a Spanish fly from the middle or top rope. That was pretty cool. Hendry came in, took out Scott Wainwright with the knee real quick before Robinson went and got a back body drop. Actually, no. He got back body dropped by Hendry. Kirby accidentally knocked Hendry off the rope, off the apron, and then they went for the finish, which was a Death Valley driver with a foot stomp, and that was about it. So it was a decent little tag team match. And, you know, this was to tease even more so to Joe Hendry's heel turn, which would happen later on. Which actually would happen on the next show. But, I'll get to that. But, this was a nice little match. I didn't really care for it too much, but I gotta give credit. These guys did pull a decent match out of their ass. But thankfully, we got a much better team on the next show. I'll get to that when I get to it. Next was the WCPW Internet Championship between champion Cody Rhodes and challenger Ricochet. This match was really good. Actually, this match may have been the second best match of the night, not the triple threat, but whatever. They're like tit for tat. This match was really good. Ricochet, for some reason, came out with a crown. I don't know why. Oh, I almost forgot. Speaking of crown, during the Primate Rampage match, we did see Primate stomp on the cape and crown of King Ross, who is on the What Culture Wrestling channel, which was funny. Anyways, Cody, he got pretty good. I mean, in this match, they were both pretty good in this match. You know, went for some signature moves early on, but nothing too much out of the ordinary. I mean, it's freaking Ricochet. What do you expect? This was a really good match. I think somebody, I don't know what happened, but I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, actually. This was just a really good... Maybe I'm just desperate to try to end this review because I really just want to watch Raw to mock it, because I don't want to spend tomorrow watching it when I could be catching up on reviews. So maybe that's just it. So yeah, fuck Raw. But seriously, this match, I mean, was a really good match. There was a stalling superplex from the top rope, which I was almost like, I really hope that Ricochet doesn't try to counter, or else he's going to hurt himself. It was just a really good match. I'll just go right to the finish. The finish was, well, he, as in Ricochet, he hit a 619 on Cody. Cody went down. Went for a shooting star press. Cody rolled out of the way, and Ricochet had to roll through. Cody he got a wheelbarrow attempt into a crossroads. And I gotta say, Ricochet had a sick looking sell of the crossroads. I mean, if you remember Rob Van Dam's sell of the RKO in their Armageddon match in 2003, it was similar to that. And now on to the final match, which was Bully Ray and Drew Galloway. This match was just a nice, solid little main event. Wasn't as good as the previous three matches with the triple threat, the internet title, or the Marty's or Zack Sabre Jr., but it was still a fun, entertaining main event. Drew Galloway defending the WCPW Championship against Bully Ray. They brawled into the crowd. It was just a knockdown, drag-out fight. It was also a no disqualification match. They fought into the crowd. They fought in the bar area, where at one point I think Bully Ray spit, or maybe it was Drew Galloway, but one of them spit like beer in the other, which was kind of cool. They fought back into the ring. You know, I like it when they fight in different areas of the arena. Then Drew Galloway, you know, they both, you know, both had a fun, entertaining match. The finish happened when Bully Ray set up a table in the ring, and then Drew Galloway basically countered, and it was just, yeah, he basically countered, and what happened was, oh, I almost forgot, Bully Ray, he used his Liverpool scarf to choke out Galloway, which was pretty fun. Then he used a steel chair, where he shoved Galloway's head into the steel chair. That it was wedged in the turnbuckle. Of course, Galloway paid him back by using the chair on him, which was funny. You know, just trying to... I really just want to get through this. Oh, I almost forgot. The Swords of Essex came out to try to interfere on Bully Ray's behalf. You remember, he was with them in the quote-unquote Pachiti Club. Bully Ray, not Bully Ray, Scott Wainwright tried to interfere. Paul Robinson interfered. Both of them got beat up by Drew Galloway. B. Priestley at one point gave Bully Ray the women's belt, the women's championship belt, and hit Galloway with it for a near fall. And I think this was, and there was at one point where there was a ref bump, and I was like, and even I think even Dave Bradshaw brought this up. Why was there a ref bump in a no disqualification match? That to me didn't make any sense. It's no DQ. Ref can't do shit. Cranky. Like in the words of of Austin Powers, cranky. As you can see, I've been watching Austin Powers lately. But what happened was, attempted future shock DDT, didn't happen. Drew Galloway went for a neck breaker, did not win the match. I remember when I first watched this match, because I did rewatch it, but when I first watched this match when it first happened, I'm like, Bully Ray went out to get some wood. He's got Velvet Sky. It's all the wood he needs. Oh man, oh man. What am I talking about? Bully Ray, basically what happened is Galloway rushed the corner with a clothesline. Wait, what? What? My memory must be, Jesus. So here was Galloway defending himself against the Swords of Essex. He rushes in from the corner with a clothesline, and then he got the win. What? Come on, I like Drew Galloway. Don't get me wrong, but that was why didn't he go for the kick, the sick kick? That would have been more better. But a clothesline? Come on. It was an overbooked match. It probably would have been a better match if not for the overbooking. But it still was a fun match at the end, with Galloway just beating up the rest of the guys. Robinson and the real story though was Robinson and Wainwright went in to beat up Drew Galloway. Came Hendry and Kirby to try to fight back, but Bully Ray got involved. Then beat them up. Ricochet came in to even things up, and Ricochet even hit a friggin' super kick to take him down. But when he was going for the top rope, he was gonna hit a shooting star press, and Will Ospreay came down in a hoodie, and hit a cutter midair. And Ospreay, he took, much like B. Priestley did with Nixon Newell and a couple shows ago, a show I did not review, he stole Drew Galloway's WCPW world title and walked out. And that was about it, though. So, this was a pretty good show. I'm sorry, I think I'm just tired. I'm just a little bit tired. I need sustenance. There's something I have to do outside. I have to water the freaking plants and shit. But, I'm sorry if this is not exactly the most informative review, but I'm just a little bit tired right now. I think I need a rest. Probably after Raw, I'm going to sleep. I'm not even going to bother trying to watch any of the other shows to try to review one before today. That's about it. And this was still a pretty good show. Great match between Travis Banks and Zack Sabre Jr. Really good matches between Coffey and Williams. the triple threat with Marty, Scurll, Gabriel Kidd, and Ligero, and a really good match with Cody, Rhodes, and Ricochet, and despite overbooking a fun main event. So, what else can you ask for? See you next time, guys. I will be reviewing WCPW True Destiny, which has even more great shit on that show. So I'll see you next time, guys, and have a good day, later, and peace.